Bruce Lee wasn't just a fighter. He was a philosopher, a thinker, a poet of motion. To the world, he was a martial arts icon, a film star, a man who punched faster than the eye could follow. But beneath the kicks and shouts was a deeply introspective man obsessed with understanding the nature of life, of self, of the human spirit. His greatest weapon wasn't his fists, it was his mind. From the time he was young, Bruce questioned everything. He was born in San Francisco but raised in Hong Kong, and the collision of East and West shaped him. The East taught him tradition, discipline, and the power of inner stillness. The West exposed him to individuality, rebellion, and the drive to innovate. Bruce absorbed both worlds. And through that fusion, he created a philosophy unlike any other. He often said, "Be water, my friend." At first glance, it sounds like a poetic martial arts quote. But it's so much more. Water is formless. It adapts to whatever holds it. It can crash violently, or it can flow gently. Bruce believed life was exactly like that. If we try to be rigid, to hold on to structure or ego, we break. But if we flow, if we adjust, adapt, and move, we survive. We evolve. This wasn't just theory to him. It was how he lived. When Bruce arrived in America, he didn't fit into a mold. He was too Chinese to be fully embraced by Hollywood. Too Western to be accepted by traditional martial arts masters. He faced racism, doubt, even betrayal. But he flowed. He didn't fight the system head-on. He found openings, cracks, and opportunities. He moved around obstacles instead of smashing into them. He let his philosophy guide his path. At the core of Bruce's beliefs was the idea of honest self-expression. He said martial arts was merely a vehicle for expressing yourself. To me, he said, martial arts means honestly expressing yourself. Not lying to yourself. Think about that. How often do we shape our lives around what others want? Around what we think we should be, rather than what we truly are? Bruce rejected all that. He saw every fight, every movement, every moment as a chance to show his truth. That's why he rejected rigid martial arts systems. He trained in Wing Chun, but he didn't let it define him. He studied fencing, boxing, philosophy, even acting. He created Jeet Kune Do not as a style, but as a rejection of style. Absorb what is useful, he said. Discard what is not. Add what is uniquely your own. This mantra didn't just apply to fighting, it applied to living. He wanted people to build themselves, piece by piece, through experience and honesty. Bruce believed in simplicity. To him, complexity was the enemy. It's not the daily increase, he said. It's the daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. The world is full of noise. Too many opinions, too many distractions, too many paths that lead nowhere. Bruce taught that real growth comes not from adding more, but from stripping things away. What are you left with when you take everything else out? Yourself. Your raw, honest self. He trained like a machine, not to show off, but to refine his body and mind into a single, unified weapon. He didn't believe in overtraining for vanity. Every exercise, every punch, every breath had purpose. His workouts were intense but intelligent. His goal wasn't just physical strength, it was mental discipline. He believed the mind and body were one. If you train your body but neglect your thoughts, you are incomplete. Fear was another enemy Bruce confronted. But he didn't pretend to be fearless. He admitted his fears. He embraced them. Fear comes from uncertainty, he said. When we are absolutely certain, whether of our worth or of our being, we are almost impervious to fear. To Bruce, fear was an indicator, something to explore, not avoid. Every time he faced doubt, he stepped forward. Not because he didn't feel afraid, but because he understood it. He didn't believe in blind faith. He believed in experience. In one of his writings, he said, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." That line sums up his entire life. He didn't just study philosophy, he lived it. He didn't just train in martial arts, he expressed it. He didn't just dream about changing the world, he acted. That action is what separated him from so many others. Bruce Lee never let fame distract him. Even at the height of his success, he continued to read, to write, to think. He filled notebook after notebook with thoughts, reflections, and philosophical questions. He quoted Confucius, Krishnamurti, Nietzsche. He wasn't trying to sound smart, he was trying to understand himself and the world. For Bruce, self-knowledge was the ultimate victory. Not defeating opponents, not winning awards, but understanding who you are at the core. He often said, all knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. That's why martial arts meant so much to him. It wasn't about dominance. It was about discovery. Every punch revealed something. Every sparring session was a mirror. He learned about patience, about timing, about humility. He learned that brute strength means nothing without awareness. That speed means nothing without control. That victory means nothing without honor. One of the most powerful aspects of Bruce's philosophy was his view of death. He didn't fear it. He respected it. He knew it was coming, just as it comes for us all. But he didn't let that stop him. If anything, it fueled him. He said, "The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering." He didn't chase fame for ego. He chased legacy. He wanted to leave behind something real, something that would inspire others to live fully, fearlessly, and authentically. Even in his short life, Bruce did more than most could in 10 lifetimes. Not just in terms of career, but in terms of depth. He didn't just walk through life. He questioned it, challenged it. He lived deliberately, with intensity, with focus, with purpose. He believed we should live in the present moment, not worry about the past or future. If you love life, don't waste time, he said, for time is what life is made up of. He knew that each moment was a gift, a chance to improve, to grow, to act. He didn't believe in waiting for the right time. The right time was always now. And perhaps the greatest lesson Bruce Lee ever taught was this: you are not a finished product. You are not fixed. You are not stuck. You are a process, a journey, a work in progress. You have the power to shape yourself, to evolve, to become more. Not by copying others, but by uncovering who you truly are. He showed us that life is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about winning. It's about expressing. It's not about being someone else's version of greatness. It's about becoming your own. Bruce Lee lived with passion, but also with precision. With emotion, but also with clarity. He balanced fire and water, strength and softness, confidence and humility. That balance is what made him truly powerful, not just on the screen, but in the hearts of millions. In the end, Bruce Lee's greatest fight wasn't in the ring or on the movie set. It was the fight to stay true to himself in a world that constantly tried to define him. And he won, not by overpowering others, but by mastering himself. If we can take even a fraction of his mindset, if we can learn to flow like water, to express ourselves honestly, to live simply but with strength, then we too can live a life worth remembering. Not by becoming Bruce Lee, but by becoming the fullest version of who we are meant to be. Bruce Lee understood the value of clarity. In both combat and in life, he believed confusion was the enemy. When your mind is clouded with distractions, when your intentions are scattered, you become weak. His goal was always focus, pure, unbreakable focus. Whether he was delivering a sidekick, writing a journal entry, or spending time with his family, he did it with his full attention. He didn't multitask. He didn't dilute himself. He knew that mastery comes from doing one thing at a time, doing it with complete presence. He once said, "The successful warrior is the average man, with laser-like focus." Not the genius. Not the superhero. Just the person who learns to concentrate without hesitation. That laser focus extended to how he trained others. Bruce was never interested in impressing people with flashy moves. He stripped away what didn't matter. If a move looked good but didn't work in a real fight, he discarded it. If a tradition no longer served its purpose, he questioned it. If a philosophy couldn't be lived out through action, it wasn't enough. This ruthless practicality was revolutionary. In a time when martial arts were often shrouded in mysticism and ritual, Bruce brought logic, science, and reason into the dojo. He timed his kicks with stopwatches. He measured reaction time. He analyzed leverage and biomechanics. But he never lost the soul. He brought together the measurable and the mystical, the science and the spirit. One of his most remarkable traits was that he was never afraid to change. Most people cling to an identity. They choose a path and stay on it, even when it stops serving them, because they're afraid of appearing inconsistent. But Bruce knew that growth demands transformation. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer, he once said. That was how he lived, always curious, always learning, always evolving. He outgrew styles, outgrew roles, even outgrew himself. The Bruce Lee of his youth would never have imagined the Bruce Lee of his final years. That's because he didn't hold himself hostage to his past. He let himself expand. To do that requires one thing above all: courage. The courage to abandon what once defined you, so that you can become what you're meant to be next. But Bruce didn't just change for the sake of change. He changed with intention. He changed with awareness. Because he believed in truth, not comfort. And sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes the truth means letting go of what's safe, what's familiar, what people expect of you. He never let fear dictate his direction. He let truth lead. There's a quote from Bruce that strikes deep: "I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine." In that sentence is freedom. The freedom to be. The freedom to walk your own path without apology. Bruce never wanted followers. He wanted people to follow themselves. He didn't want fans. He wanted thinkers, doers, creators. His legacy isn't just in martial arts or movies. It's in mindset. It's in his demand for excellence. His hunger for understanding. His refusal to settle. He inspired people across all walks of life, not just because he could fight, but because he fought to be real. He once wrote, "The function and duty of a quality human being is the sincere and honest development of one's potential." That was his mission. That was his purpose. He didn't care about being better than others. He cared about being better than he was yesterday. He knew that true competition isn't between you and someone else. It's between who you are and who you could become. This relentless push for self-actualization made him an unstoppable force. But it also made him humble. Because the more he discovered, the more he realized how much there was left to learn. He approached life with what Zen masters call a beginner's mind, open, curious, unassuming. He didn't pretend to have all the answers. He was just willing to search for them with more intensity than anyone else. His approach to failure was equally profound. Bruce saw failure not as defeat, but as feedback. As information. He said, defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. He refused to be defined by setbacks. Injuries, rejection, cultural barriers, he turned them all into fuel. Into fire. That's how he lived with such speed. Not just physically, but mentally. He didn't hesitate. He didn't overthink. He trusted his training, trusted his intuition, and moved forward. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done, he warned. Action was sacred to Bruce. Thinking was valuable, but doing was vital. He was a man of paradoxes. Ferocious, yet kind. Ruthless in pursuit of growth, yet gentle in spirit. Deeply philosophical, yet intensely practical. He could be poetic one moment and deadly precise the next. And that's exactly why his philosophy endures. Because it doesn't demand that you choose one extreme or the other. It invites you to balance them all. Like water. He also understood the value of love, love for life, for family, for art. He was a devoted father and husband. A loyal friend. Behind the muscle and fire was a man who loved deeply, who laughed often, who danced when no one was looking. He reminded us that intensity doesn't mean you have to be cold. That discipline doesn't cancel out joy. That purpose and play can live side by side. Bruce Lee's life was short, but it burned bright. Not because of fame. Not because of money. But because of authenticity. He was who he said he was. He lived what he believed. And in doing so, he gave others permission to do the same. His philosophy isn't about martial arts. It's about living. With presence. With purpose. With power. To be water. To express yourself honestly. To simplify. To learn. To grow. To act. To live. That was Bruce Lee.